Presenting our podcast, Got Milk, the Indian Dairy Context, brought to you by Shunya Agritech, India's first animal nutrition and well-being focused organization. Say hello to your hosts, Gear and Sahil.
Welcome to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're plunging into a topic that honestly surprised us with its complexity as we researched it.
Oh, definitely.
It might seem as straightforward as what cows eat, but we quickly found ourselves in this intricate world where science, economics, and even a dash of agricultural artistry collide.
Yeah, it's much more than just feed.
We're talking about dairy diets specifically, what we feed our dairy cows. It's a foundational part of agriculture, certainly, but the sheer depth of its nuances is truly captivating.
That's precisely the journey we're on today. We've compiled a comprehensive stack of sources, all focusing on various feed options available to dairy farmers.
Right.
Our mission for you, our listener, is to extract the most crucial insights and surprising facts, offering a comprehensive shortcut to understanding feed types, their advantages, disadvantages, and the underlying science of crafting an ideal fodder mix.
Okay.
We'll be laser-focused on how these dietary choices directly influence milk production, overall cow health, and even the financial viability of a dairy operation.
That's key, the viability.
Absolutely. By the end of this deep dive, you'll possess a much clearer, more critical understanding of what truly goes into formulating a dairy cow's diet.
That sounds like an essential deep dive. Let's unpack this. Before we even begin to look at specific feed options, it's absolutely crucial to grasp what a dairy cow fundamentally needs. What's actually happening inside that incredibly complex digestive system of theirs, that amazing biological factory.
Let's dive right into that then. At the heart of a dairy cow's digestive system is the rumen.
Okay, the rumen.
Think of it as a massive, continuously operating fermentation vat, a thriving ecosystem of microorganisms. Maintaining the ideal environment within this rumen is paramount for the cow's health and productivity.
It's like a finely tuned machine.
Exactly. Our sources highlight that for this healthy rumen to function optimally, it needs a stable pH range, ideally between 6.8 and 6.9.
Pretty precise.
Very. To put that in perspective, it's a very finely balanced, slightly acidic environment. Alongside that, a consistent temperature, precisely around 38.9 to 39.0 degrees Celsius, is equally vital.
Wow.
This remarkable stability, both in pH and temperature, is absolutely crucial for the vast microbial populations living there, billions upon billions of bacteria, fungi, and protozoa.
They're doing the heavy lifting, then.
They really are. These microbes are the unsung heroes of dairy farming. They're responsible for breaking down the complex feed components, especially fiber, into usable nutrients that the cow herself can then absorb.
Okay.
As they diligently do their work, they produce volatile fatty acids, or VFAs, which are the primary energy sources for the cow.
VFAs.
These VFAs, like acetate, propionate, and butyrate, are absorbed directly through the rumen wall and are critical for everything from basic metabolism to the synthesis of milk fat and lactose.
The fuel for the cow, basically.
Directly. What's particularly fascinating is that studies have shown that even when farmers introduce different roughage sources into the diet, these ruminal characteristics, the pH and temperature, can remain surprisingly stable.
That's interesting. Resilience.
Yeah, it indicates a well-adapted and robust microbial community, which is a good sign for the animal's health and digestive efficiency.
Makes sense.
This brings us directly to the fundamental nutritional components a cow's diet must provide: fiber, protein, and energy. These aren't merely general terms, they are the precise building blocks that dictate not only the quantity and quality of milk production, but also the cow's overall health and longevity.
So given these incredibly precise internal requirements, what's the immediate tangible consequence on a farm if that balance isn't maintained? Is it just a subtle dip in milk production, or are we talking about more severe health implications for the animal herself? What happens if these fundamental dietary requirements aren't met?
This raises an important question because the link between diet and cow health is incredibly direct, and if imbalances occur, the consequences can be immediate and often quite severe.
Okay.
Our sources paint a clear picture of what happens when nutritional deficiencies or excesses creep into the diet. Let's start with crude protein, or CP.
Protein.
If a cow suffers from a deficiency in crude protein, her immune cell function can be severely impaired.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. This isn't just a minor issue. It directly correlates to a significantly increased susceptibility to various infections, particularly mastitis, which is an inflammation of the udder.
A big issue for dairy farmers.
Huge. And respiratory infections like pneumonia. Beyond that, you can literally see other health implications, such as poor wound healing and a general lack of vigor. It means a cow is less resilient to environmental stressors and pathogens.
Okay, so protein's critical for immunity. What else?
Then we have metabolizable energy, ME, or sometimes referred to as total digestible nutrients, TDN.
Energy. The fuel.
Exactly. Energy is the fuel for everything a cow does. If a cow is fed low-energy forage, especially during periods of high demand like early lactation, she can rapidly enter a state of negative energy balance.
Where she's using more than she's taking in.
Precisely. Her energy output, primarily for milk production, exceeds her energy intake from feed, forcing her to mobilize body fat reserves.
And that causes problems.
It manifests as serious metabolic disorders. A classic and often telltale sign is ketosis,
Ketosis, right.
which you might recognize by that characteristic sweet acetone-like breath, similar to nail polish remover.
Wow, you can actually smell it.
Sometimes, yes. Other issues include fatty liver, where excessive fat accumulates in the liver, impairing its function, and a significant reduction in appetite, which further exacerbates the energy deficit.
A vicious cycle.
Totally. All of these conditions directly and dramatically impact milk yield, leading to substantial production losses. Our sources specifically indicate that total mixed ration, or TMR, diets providing 10.0 to 11.3 megajoules per kilogram of dry matter of ME are generally sufficient for cows producing around 10 to 15 kilograms of milk per day with 4% milk fat.
So you really have to hit those targets.
Non-negotiable, really, for consistent milk output and a healthy herd.
Okay. Protein, energy. What about fiber?
Right. Fiber, measured as Neutral Detergent Fiber, NDF, and Acid Detergent Fiber, ADF. While fiber is absolutely crucial for stimulating rumination, the cud chewing that maintains healthy rumen pH and for overall digestive health.
But there's a but.
There is. Too much indigestible fiber, particularly its lignin component, can be problematic. Lignin is essentially the woody, undigestible part of the plant cell wall.
Like eating wood chips.
A bit like that, yeah. If a cow consumes too much indigestible lignin, it can physically fill and block the rumen, leading to a condition called impaction.
Sounds bad.
It is. The digestive tract becomes severely blocked. In severe cases, this can even result in abomasal displacement, commonly known as a twisted stomach, which is a significant veterinary emergency, often requiring immediate and costly surgical intervention.
Ouch. So fiber type matters a lot.
Hugely. It's not just about having fiber, it's about having the right kind of fiber in the right proportions.
Okay. And finally, vitamins and minerals. Often overlooked.
They can be, but they're vital. Vitamins and minerals. Ruminants are quite remarkable in their ability to synthesize many B vitamins and vitamin K within their own rumen through microbial activity, and they naturally produce vitamin D when exposed to sunlight.
Pretty self-sufficient in some ways.
In some ways, yes. However, other vitamins, particularly vitamin A and vitamin E, are absolutely vital and must be supplied through the diet.
Like supplements. Or from the feed itself.
Both, ideally. For instance, colostrum, that invaluable first milk produced by the mother immediately after calving, is incredibly rich in vitamins, especially vitamin A and E, providing immediate immune protection and vital nutrients to newborn calves.
Right. Colostrum is critical.
Absolutely. High-quality forages are excellent natural sources of vitamin A precursors like beta-carotene and vitamin E. Vitamin A is crucial for vision, immune function, and reproductive health, while vitamin E acts as a powerful antioxidant, protecting cells from oxidative damage. As for minerals, our sources highlight several significant issues linked to deficiencies. Hypocalcemia, more commonly known as milk fever, and retained placenta are both directly linked to calcium deficiencies, especially around calving when calcium demand for milk production skyrockets. There's also a strong emphasis on the importance of phosphorus and trace mineral supplementation, particularly for heavier milking cows.
So the more milk they give, the more they need.
Exactly. Deficiencies in these essential micronutrients can lead to a cascade of problems, including reduced performance, poor reproductive success, weakened immune systems, and in extreme cases, even death.
Wow.
So, ensuring a balanced diet goes far beyond just roughage. It's about meticulously managing these essential micronutrient building blocks.
Wow, it truly is a delicate balance and such an intricate internal system. We've peeled back the layers on what a cow fundamentally needs to thrive, biologically speaking, but armed with that complex blueprint, how do farmers actually deliver on those needs? We've got this vast menu of feed options, from the traditional to the truly cutting edge. Let's transition now from the cow's internal workings to the external inputs, starting with some classic roughage sources. What's the traditional choice, and what hidden complexities does it hold?
You're right, understanding the how is where the rubber meets the road. What's fascinating here is how agriculture, by necessity and sometimes by clever design, often turns its byproducts into valuable resources.
Right, using everything.
But as we're about to explore, these often come with their own unique set of challenges and require careful management. Let's begin with rice straw, a byproduct with challenges.
Rice straw. Okay, very common in some parts of the world.
Extremely. It's a principal agricultural crop residue, especially prominent in tropical and subtropical regions where rice is a staple food source for billions.
Yeah.
It's incredibly abundant, a natural and unavoidable byproduct of the massive global rice grain industry.
And farmers need to do something with it.
Exactly. And with increasing environmental regulations on burning crop residues, which historically contributed significantly to air pollution, there's been a substantial surge of interest in its potential as cattle feed.
Makes sense.
But its nutritional profile is where it gets particularly interesting and often problematic for high-producing dairy cows. Rice straw is notorious for its low nutritive value.
How low are we talking?
Our sources tell us it typically has a very low crude protein content, ranging from a mere 2% to 7% on a dry matter DM basis.
4%. That's incredibly low.
It is. Compare it to the needs we just discussed, a lactating dairy cow needs significantly more. It also has a remarkably high neutral detergent fiber NDF content, often exceeding 70%, which means a large portion of it is structural fiber.
So bulky but not nutritious.
Precisely. Its dry matter digestibility is also quite low, usually less than 50%. This combination results in a very low voluntary feed intake by cows. They simply don't find it palatable or nutritious enough to consume in large quantities, sometimes eating as little as 1.5% to 2.0% of their body weight on a dry matter basis.
So they just can't eat enough of it.
Right. It makes it incredibly difficult for them to meet their energy and protein requirements, especially for milk production. This brings us to the key challenges of using rice straw effectively in a dairy diet.
Okay, what are the big ones?
First, palatability. Cows, despite their reputation as indiscriminate eaters, can be quite finicky. Rice straw has a slight pubescence, which refers to small, fine hairs on the plant surface.
Like itchy?
Sort of. Imagine trying to eat a meal that felt like prickly sandpaper on your tongue. That's a bit like what these fine hairs can feel like for a cow. Cattle might need significant time to adapt to it, and some may never fully accept it. Our sources suggest that palatability is improved if the straw is baled within 10 days of harvest, highlighting that even subtle management practices can make a difference.
Timing matters.
It does. Second, and this is a critical hurdle, is its low digestibility. Rice straw has an unusually high silica content, ranging from 8% to 14%.
Silica. Like sand.
Essentially, yes,
Yeah.
chemically similar. To illustrate the magnitude of this, compare it to alfalfa hay, a high-quality forage which typically has only 1% to 2% silica.
That's a huge difference.
Massive. Silica is essentially glass, it's indigestible, and it forms a physical barrier that significantly decreases the overall digestibility of the feed. This is particularly true in the rice leaves, which are especially high in silica.
So it just passes through.
A lot of it does, yes. This, combined with other mineral compounds, contributes to a high average ash content of 17% for rice straw, which is much higher than alfalfa's 7% to 8%. What this means in practical terms is that a significant portion of what you're feeding is literally passing right through the cow, providing almost no nutritional value and effectively filling her rumen with undigestible bulk.
Just filler then. Low protein, low digestibility.
Yeah.
What else?
Third, low protein. We touched on it, but with crude protein often hovering between 2% and 7% DM, rice straw almost always requires substantial protein supplementation to even begin to meet the nutritional requirements of most cattle, especially lactating cows.
You absolutely have to add something else.
Without question. In fact, our sources strongly advise against using straw with only 2% to 3% crude protein. At such abysmal levels, its forage value may actually be less than the cost of simply baling and hauling it.
Wow.
And more importantly, feeding it as a primary roughage source could lead to severe animal health issues or even death due to prolonged nutrient deficiency. This is a clear economic and welfare consideration for farmers.
Definitely. Any other downsides?
Fourth, high oxalates. These compounds are naturally present in rice straw and can decrease the absorption of calcium from the digestive tract.
Calcium. So milk fever risk again.
Potentially, yes. While this might be less of an issue in regions where calcium-rich alfalfa hay is readily available and used as a supplement, it becomes a critical consideration elsewhere. A chronic calcium deficiency can lead to weaker bones, reduced milk production, and conditions like milk fever.
Okay, so it's cheap and abundant, but comes with a lot of baggage. Can farmers do anything to make it better?
Yes, despite these significant challenges, there are management strategies for better quality. For instance, our sources indicate that higher nitrogen fertilization of rice plants yields higher crude protein in the straw itself.
Oh, interesting. So field management matters.
It can. This means farmers could potentially source or select straw from higher fertility fields, making a more informed choice. And again, the sooner it's baled after harvest, ideally within 10 days, the better the quality, as plant respiration and degradation of nutrients begin immediately after cutting.
So handle it quickly and choose your source carefully. But the bottom line,
The practical use is clear. Rice straw should only be used as a replacement for part of the forage in a ration, never as a complete ration. Supplementation with high-quality protein and energy sources is absolutely critical to make it work effectively and prevent the severe health and production issues we discussed earlier.
right, it's a filler, not a foundation in a high-performing dairy diet.
Precisely.
So rice straw, abundant, certainly, but a minefield of nutritional challenges that require careful navigation. It really highlights how agricultural solutions often come with a trade-off. But what if we could take another widely available byproduct and unlock its potential in a much more effective way? Our sources delve into ground corn cobs, and this sounds like a significantly more promising alternative, doesn't it?
Indeed, ground corn cobs, GCC, represent a genuinely promising alternative, demonstrating a more successful transformation of agricultural waste into a valuable feed resource.
Corn cobs,
Yeah.
what we usually throw away.
Exactly. Corn cobs are another major cereal crop byproduct, generated in very large quantities, up to 18 units of cob for every 100 units of grain produced. Historically, much of this material has simply been wasted, often left to decompose, or worse, burned in the fields.
Causing pollution.
Right, contributing significantly to environmental pollution and air quality issues. However, with burning increasingly being banned in several countries due to environmental concerns, corn cobs are emerging as a much-needed and potentially valuable source of roughage for ruminants. It's a win-win, turning a waste product into a valuable input.
Okay, so what makes them better than rice straw, nutritionally?
Let's look at their nutritional profile. GCC are notably high in structural carbohydrates, specifically cellulose and hemicelluloses. Compared to rice straw, GCC boasts a higher hemicellulose content, reported at around 13.02%, while having lower cellulose, 4.5% DM, and significantly less lignin.
Less lignin. That's good for digestibility, right?
Very good. This distinction is quite significant because hemicellulose, in particular, tends to have an even higher digestion fraction than cellulose. The microbial population in the rumen can break down hemicellulose more readily, making its energy more accessible to the cow.
So more usable energy. What are the benefits?
This unique composition provides distinct benefits. Because of its favorable fiber profile and lower lignin, GCC tends to increase overall digestibility of the total ration. Crucially, it also results in enhanced dry matter feed intake by the animals.
They eat more and get more out of it.
Exactly. This is a double benefit. Cows are not only getting more out of what they eat because it's more digestible, but they're also encouraged to eat more overall, which is absolutely essential for meeting the high energy and nutrient demands of high-producing dairy cows.
Any studies to back this up?
Yes, experimental findings really underscore the potential of GCC. Studies have shown that when ground corn cobs are used as the sole roughage source in a total mixed ration containing 60% concentrate, they significantly improve nutrient intake and milk yield in lactating crossbred dairy cows.
As the only roughage. Wow.
Yes. For example, in one study, cows fed 100% GCC in an experimental group designated TMR1, or even a combination of 82.5% GCC and 17.5% rice straw, TMR2, produced an impressive 13.1 kilograms of milk per day.
And compared to rice straw mixes.
This compares favorably to 12.4 kilograms per day for mixes with a higher proportion of rice straw, TMR3 and TMR4, representing a notable increase in productivity.
Okay, that's significant. Did it affect milk quality?
Crucially, the milk composition, meaning milk fat, protein, lactose, total solids, and solids not fat, was not significantly altered across these experimental groups.
Good. So more milk, same quality.
Right. And importantly, even key rumen parameters like pH and volatile fatty acid VFA concentrations remain stable, which is a testament to the suitability of GCC as a roughage. Stable blood urea nitrogen, BUN levels, further indicated a balanced and efficient diet, showing the cows were utilizing the protein effectively.
So overall, a much better byproduct option.
These findings strongly suggest that GCC offers a very practical and efficient option for dairy feeding, particularly in tropical areas where corn is widely grown. It directly helps to increase production efficiency while making better use of agricultural byproducts, aligning with more sustainable farming practices.
That's a fascinating look at how byproducts can be optimized. And it sounds like a much more straightforward success story than rice straw. We've talked about traditional roughages and emerging alternatives, but there's another really interesting area, one that sounds almost futuristic: hydroponic fodder,
Oh, yes.
growing feed indoors without soil in controlled environments. Let's really explore what that entails, because it definitely sparks curiosity and has generated a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
What's the reality behind the green glow?
It absolutely is intriguing, and it's a concept that captures the imagination. Hydroponic fodder has been gaining significant attention globally, offering the appealing concept of producing lush green sprouts regardless of external weather conditions year-round in a seemingly compact footprint.
Sounds ideal, almost too good to be true.
Well, let's see. So, what exactly is hydroponic fodder, HF? At its heart, it involves sprouting grains like barley, oats, wheat, sorghum, and corn without any soil. It's fundamentally a highly controlled environment system.
Like a vertical farm, but for fodder?
Kind of, yeah. The production process typically begins with first soaking the grain in water until it's fully saturated, which can take several hours or overnight. Then it's drained and spread in specialized trays or troughs, usually in a thin layer, for sprouting. This entire process, from soaking to a harvestable mat of green shoots and roots, usually takes about 5 to 8 days.
Pretty quick.
It is, during which the grain must be kept consistently moist with regular misting or automated watering cycles. Pre-soaking is essential for rapid water uptake, which facilitates the internal metabolic processes and initial growth of the seed.
Okay. Anything else involved?
A crucial and often labor-intensive step, frequently overlooked by those new to it, is that the grain is rigorously pre-soaked or washed with sterilizing solutions, such as diluted chlorine or hydrogen peroxide,
Sterilizing. What?
to minimize the ever-present risk of mold contamination. We'll come back to that. It's a big one.
Ah, okay. Mold. Got it.
Commercial hydroponic fodder systems can range widely in sophistication, from relatively labor-intensive setups where manual handling is constant to highly automated ones that manage lighting, temperature, humidity, and watering.
So big potential range in cost and effort.
Definitely.
Oh.
Regardless of the automation level, they all require a stable foundation, usually a concrete slab, reliable access to electricity for lighting and climate control, a consistent water supply, storage tanks for water and sometimes nutrient solutions, and often specialized grain storage and handling equipment, plus those vital sterilizing agents.
Sounds like a setup.
And hygiene, let me emphasize, is paramount. Trays must be meticulously cleaned and sterilized, often with chlorine-based solutions between crops, to prevent the carryover and proliferation of mold, which is a very real and persistent threat in these humid, warm environments.
It sounds incredibly controlled and precise, almost like a high-tech laboratory. But how does this entire process, this sprouting, actually change the nutritional profile of the grain itself? Does it truly become a superfood for cows, or is there more nuance to it than that?
This is where it gets truly interesting, and it's an area that's often profoundly misunderstood, leading to some unrealistic expectations. Let's delve into the nutritional changes during sprouting.
Okay, lay it on us.
First, and perhaps most surprisingly to many, is dry matter, DM, loss.
Loss. But it looks like you're growing more.
Exactly. While the fresh weight of sprouts dramatically increases, you might put in 1 kilogram of grain and get 6 to 9 kilograms of lush green sprouts, often appearing like a thick mat of grass. This increase is overwhelmingly due to water absorption.
Oh, it's mostly water weight.
Overwhelmingly. The critical point to understand is that the seeds actually lose dry matter during the sprouting process. They consume their own stored energy reserves through respiration to fuel that initial burst of growth.
So they're burning energy just to sprout.
Precisely. Dry matter losses typically range quite significantly, from 7% all the way up to a staggering 47%.
47%.
It can be that high. For instance, barley seeds, which might start at 91.4% DM, can become hydroponic barley with only 13.3% DM after 8 days. Hydroponic corn might be 18.48% DM, and barley 14.2%.
So you end up with less actual stuff.
Less actual nutritional substance on a dry matter basis, yes. While you have a heavier, greener product, our sources were quite clear. There are no substantiated examples in the scientific literature reviewed of DM gains above the original grain dry matter input. This is not about magically growing more feed in terms of dry matter, but rather about converting the stored nutrients within the seed into a different form, while losing some along the way.
That's a huge clarification. What about energy? Does that go down too?
Regarding energy and starch, yes. The energy stored abundantly in the grain's complex carbohydrates, primarily starch, is broken down during germination to fuel the plant's rapid growth. This metabolic process consumes energy.
Burns calories, basically.
Exactly. This means that, on a dry matter basis, the energy value of sprouts is generally less than that of the original grains. There's a gross energy loss as starch is converted to simpler sugars and then used for metabolic processes like respiration.
Okay, less dry matter, less energy per unit of dry matter. What about protein?
For protein, it's a bit more nuanced. You might see an apparent increase in the crude protein percentage in sprouts.
Apparent.
Yes. For example, in barley grass mats, it might seemingly jump from 10.1% in the dry seed to 14.9% after 8 days of sprouting. However, this is largely an artifact of the reduction in total dry matter, which effectively concentrates the remaining protein into a smaller dry weight.
Ah, the percentage goes up because the total weight went down.
You got it. The total weight of protein often remains similar to the original grain, or can even decrease slightly, particularly due to the leaching of some low molecular weight nitrogenous compounds during the initial soak-in.
But is the protein somehow better?
On the upside, proteolytic enzyme activity does increase significantly during sprouting, which means complex proteins are broken down into more digestible amino acids, like lysine. So it can make the existing protein more bioavailable, even if the total amount hasn't increased much.
Okay, some potential benefit there. Fiber.
Fiber content, on the other hand, genuinely increases, both in percentage and in real terms, during sprouting.
Why is that?
Because the plant is actively synthesizing structural carbohydrates for its new cell walls, forming the roots and shoots. For example, fiber content in barley can increase from 3.75% to 6% in 5-day sprouts. This increased fiber, while good for rumen stimulation, also contributes to the dry matter loss illusion if not accounted for.
Right. So are there any clear nutritional wins?
The most undeniable nutritional upside, and often the primary claimed benefit, is vitamins. Sprouting generally improves the vitamin content of seeds quite remarkably.
Okay, like what?
Hydroponic fodder is reported to be a rich source of vitamins A, E, C, thiamine B1, and riboflavin B2. One study cited in our sources showed a truly significant increase in vitamin E, jumping from 7.4 mg/dm in the original grain to 62.4 mg/dm in the sprouted grass.
Oh, that's a big jump.
Huge. Beta-carotene, a precursor to vitamin A, saw a similar impressive jump from 4.1 to 42.7 mg/dm. This is a clear nutritional improvement.
Okay, vitamins are a definite plus. Anything else?
In terms of anti-nutritional factors, phytic acid, which can bind to essential minerals like phosphorus, zinc, and calcium and hinder their absorption.
Bad stuff.
Generally, yes. It has been reported to decrease during sprouting due to enzyme activity. This is a positive change for mineral bioavailability.
Good. And overall digestibility, is it better digested?
Finally, regarding digestibility, sprouted grains are often claimed to be more efficiently digested compared to raw grain seeds. This is attributed to the high activation of hydrolytic enzymes during germination, which predigest some complex carbohydrates and proteins. This can lead to improved nutrient digestibility, animal health, and performance.
So it's not guaranteed.
Exactly. There's conflicting evidence on whether sprouting universally improves or reduces overall dry matter digestibility, with some studies showing progressive declines in digestibility with age of the sprout.
As it gets older.
Yes, possibly due to increasing fiber content and lignin formation as the sprout matures. So it's not a clear-cut, always better situation, and the age of the sprout matters.
This is so much more complex than just green shoots are good. It's quite the biochemical transformation, with some unexpected trade-offs like the dry matter loss. So what about the actual performance of livestock, especially dairy cows, when fed hydroponic fodder? And critically, does the economic reality of producing this futuristic feed actually match its appealing concept for large-scale commercial dairy farming?
Exactly. The performance and economic realities are where the rubber truly meets the road, and this is arguably the biggest hurdle for widespread adoption in commercial cattle production.
Okay, let's get into the practicalities. How do cows like it?
In terms of palatability, hydroponic fodder is generally highly palatable. This is undoubtedly a big plus for farmers, as its fresh, green nature and softer texture can encourage increased dry matter consumption by livestock, which is important for meeting their high energy demands, especially if other roughages are less appealing.
So they eat it readily. Good start.
Yeah.
But does it boost milk production?
Well, when it comes to the impact on dairy cows, the research on actual milk production is decidedly mixed.
Ah, not clear-cut.
Not at all. Some studies have found no noticeable change in milk weight or overall milk production when hydroponic barley fodder, ranging from 20–60% of the total ration, was used in conjunction with corn silage.
So no benefit there in those cases.
Right. Other research has reported some improvements in milk quality, for instance, with 7.58% barley fodder inclusion leading to better milk fat or protein content, or even modest increases in milk production.
Modest increases.
Yes. For example, one study showed that replacing a portion of concentrate with 6.1 kilograms per head per day of hydroponic maize led to increased milk production, and other isolated studies have reported 14% milk production increases.
So sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Pretty much. The variability likely stems from differences in study design, the specific grains sprouted, the inclusion rates in the overall diet, and the specific physiological stage of the cows being tested. It's not a consistent slam dunk for milk yield.
What about other animals? Calves, goats.
For broader livestock benefits, particularly in other species like calves, goats, and ewes, hydroponic fodder has indeed been linked to positive outcomes. Increased dry matter consumption, improved carcass quality, better daily live weight gain, enhanced growth rates, and improved nutrient digestibility and profitability.
Okay, so maybe better for them.
It seems potentially more beneficial or cost-effective in some of those systems. It has even been shown to replace up to 75% of the raw protein in calf starter mixtures without adverse effects. So there are definitely positive impacts for certain animal classes and production systems, but the magnitude and consistency of these benefits for high-producing dairy cows in a commercial setting are not as universally strong or cost-effective.
Right, and back to that weight issue.
Now, let's definitively address the growth versus water illusion. This is the core economic issue for commercial cattle production. While the fresh weight increases dramatically, that 1 kilogram of grain yielding 6 to 9 kilograms of sprouts, this increase is overwhelmingly due to water.
Remind us of the numbers.
Consider that a 6-kilogram slab of hydroponic fodder, while looking substantial, might only contain 800 grams of actual dry matter.
Wow, less than a kilo of actual feed in a 6-kilo slab.
Exactly. This means that a farmer is handling, transporting, and feeding very heavy slabs of mostly water, which adds significant labor, logistical challenges, and, as we'll see, cost, without adding equivalent nutritional density.
Like hauling water around.
It's akin to buying a huge jug of diluted juice instead of a small bottle of concentrate. And this leads us directly to the high cost of hydroponics, which is arguably the biggest, most persistent hurdle to its widespread commercial adoption in large-scale dairy operations.
Okay, the economics. Let's break it down. Upfront costs.
First, let's talk about capital costs. Investing in a hydroponic system involves very significant upfront expenses. We're talking about the specialized shed or climate-controlled facility itself, sophisticated growing equipment, robust concrete slabs for stability, storage tanks for water and nutrient solutions, often silos and augers for grain handling, and specialized plumbing and climate control systems.
Sounds expensive. How expensive?
Our sources indicate that even a relatively modest unit designed to produce less than 1 ton of sprouts daily could cost around $120,000.
Oof. That's a major investment.
It's substantial, and the payback period needs to be carefully considered. Second, labor.
I thought these systems were automated.
While some manufacturers advertise their systems as having low labor requirements, the reality on the ground, according to our sources and farmer reports, is often far more demanding.
How much time are we talking?
We're talking about 2 to 4, or even more, hours of dedicated daily commitment for tasks that cannot be skipped. This includes meticulously loading grain into the system, preparing nutrient solutions, carefully transferring trays between different growing stages, daily checking on fodder growth for issues like mold.
That mold check again.
Constantly. Removing and emptying the heavy, wet trays of sprouts, and, critically, the continuous, rigorous process of washing, rinsing, and sterilizing every single tray and the growing chamber between crops.
That sounds like a lot more than advertised.
Producers themselves have frequently noted that the actual time spent is often significantly higher than advertised, making labor a considerable ongoing expense.
Okay, capital costs, labor costs.
Yeah.
Else.
Third, Running costs. These are the ongoing recurrent expenses that pile up. They include substantial electricity consumption for lighting, often specialized LEDs, climate control, heating, cooling, ventilation to maintain precise temperature and humidity, gas heating, especially in cooler climates.
Utilities add up fast.
They do. Plus nutrient solutions to supplement water and those vital sterilizing agents used in large quantities to combat mold. These daily operational costs can quickly add up and eat into any potential savings on feed.
So when you factor all that in, how does it compare cost-wise?
When all these costs are calculated on a dry matter cost comparison basis, which is the only truly meaningful way to compare feeds, the picture changes dramatically and is often quite stark.
Okay, give us the numbers.
Our sources show that sprouts have been found to cost anywhere from 2 to 5 times the cost of dry matter compared with the original grain they were produced from.
2 to 5 times?
Yes. For example, if the original dry grain costs $278 per ton of dry matter, the sprouts dry matter could cost a shocking $958 per ton. That's over 3.4 times more expensive for the actual nutritional content.
Wow. So you're paying a huge premium for water and processing.
Essentially, yes. Not necessarily for superior nutritional value on a dry matter basis. Similarly, the energy protein cost within the sprouts is also much higher. The energy provided by sprouts can be 3.7 times more expensive, and the protein 2.2 times more expensive than the energy and protein in the original dry grain.
So it's more expensive for the key nutrients, too.
Significantly. This makes hydroponic fodder a substantially more expensive feed for both essential energy and protein when compared to traditional, less processed alternatives like molasses, copra, or cottonseed meal.
Okay, the economics look challenging. And you mentioned mold several times.
Finally, and perhaps the most significant operational and animal health risk is mold contamination. Mold is a common, persistent, and serious problem in hydroponic systems, particularly in the warm, humid, enclosed conditions that are ideal for sprouting.
Where does it come from?
The source can be varied. It can originate from the seed itself. Even seemingly clean seeds can harbor spores. The water supply, spores present in the ambient air, or even from improper hygiene and handling by human operators.
And the consequences.
The consequences of moldy sprouts are severe. They reduce animal performance because they are less palatable and can contain toxins. They increase labor and costs due to necessary cleanup and disposal of contaminated batches. And in severe cases, mycotoxins produced by molds have led to acute stock deaths.
Actual deaths.
Yes. For instance, there are documented reports of cattle deaths due to the fungus Aspergillus clavatus from contaminated sprouts.
That's serious. How do you even prevent it?
Mitigation requires extremely strict, near-pharmaceutical levels of hygiene, including thoroughly washing seeds, sometimes with solutions like 0.1% hypochlorite or hydrogen peroxide to reduce surface pathogens, sterilizing water, using UV light, ozone, or monochloramine, and meticulous cleaning of trays and growing chambers between every crop cycle. Proper airflow and precise temperature and humidity control are also crucial to inhibit mold growth. It's a constant battle.
So putting it all together, the cost, the water weight, the mold risk, what's the verdict for commercial dairy?
Considering all these factors, the overall profitability for using sprouting grain for commercial cattle production appears unlikely. The economic burden, the logistical challenges of handling large volumes of water, and the persistent threat of mold contamination are major limitations.
So where does it fit? Is there a place for it?
Our sources suggest that hydroponic sprouts may have a more profitable and niche application in intensive small-scale livestock situations with very high-value outputs, such as the bloodstock industry for horses.
Racehorses, why them?
In these specific contexts, feed quality, like reduced starch, increased lysine, boosted vitamin profiles, and a dust-free feed, which is excellent for equine respiratory health, is the primary requirement, often outweighing cost concerns.
Ah, quality over cost. Makes sense for high-value animals.
Exactly. It's also worth remembering that ruminants, unlike monogastrics like horses or humans, synthesize many of their own B vitamins and vitamin K in their rumen, making some of the vitamin benefits of hydroponic fodder less impactful for them compared to other species.
That's a huge clarification, especially on the economics and the pervasive mold risk. It really highlights the difference between an interesting concept, a great niche application, and a commercially viable, large-scale solution for dairy farming. Now, you've mentioned dry matter repeatedly throughout our discussion, and it's clearly a critical metric in understanding these feeds. But how exactly do scientists measure this with such precision? I imagine it's far more complicated than just weighing something before and after drying it in a kitchen oven.
You're absolutely right. This raises an important question because getting that number precisely correct is foundational. It is much more complex than a simple drawing process, and precise measurement of dry matter is absolutely crucial for accurate nutritional assessment and realistic cost evaluation in commercial agriculture.
So why is it so important? Why not just use the as-fed weight?
First, let's reiterate why dry matter matters. When we talk about feed, the actual feed that provides all the nutrients, the protein, energy, fiber, and minerals is the dry matter. It's the material remaining after all water is removed.
And water content varies a lot.
Wildly, in different feeds or even in the same feed at different times of the day or year or due to storage conditions. So, to accurately compare feeds on an apples-to-apples basis, to precisely formulate a balanced ration, or to truly assess the cost-effectiveness of an option like hydroponic fodder on a nutrient basis, knowing the true dry matter content is absolutely essential. Without it, you're making critical economic and nutritional decisions based on incomplete or potentially misleading information.
Okay, so the old oven drying method wasn't good enough.
For a long time, traditional oven methods were used. But our sources indicate that these traditional methods often led to significant discrepancies in results when determining moisture and dry matter in complex animal feeds and forages.
Why? What was the problem?
Because oven drying can cause the loss of other volatile compounds besides water.
Things that aren't water evaporate too.
Exactly. Or even the breakdown of some heat-sensitive nutrients, leading to inaccurate dry matter percentages. This highlighted a clear and urgent need for a more primary, non-empirical method, something that wasn't just an approximation, but truly isolated and measured only the water.
And that's where Carl Fisher comes in.
This is where the Carl Fisher KF titration method comes in. It has been developed and rigorously validated as a highly accurate and precise way to determine water content and, by extension, dry matter. It's considered the gold standard in many industries for moisture analysis.
Okay, how does it work without getting too technical?
The fundamental principle behind the Carl Fisher method is its unparalleled specificity. It's based on a specific chemical reaction that only consumes water.
Only water. That's the key.
That's the absolute key advantage over oven methods. It uses a reagent, typically containing iodine, sulfur dioxide, and a base in a solvent like methanol. When water is present, it reacts stoichiometrically with these reagents, consuming the iodine. By precisely measuring how much iodine is consumed, the amount of water can be accurately determined.
So it ignores oils, carbs, etc.
Right. Unlike oven methods that might evaporate or break down other volatile compounds, KF specifically targets water molecules. Other components extracted from samples, like oils or carbohydrates, simply do not interfere with this very specific chemical reaction. This specificity is why it's considered a primary definitive method.
How do they actually do it with feed samples?
Our sources detail two main ways to apply this method for feeds. Method I involves homogenization. In this approach, water is meticulously extracted from the finely ground feed material directly into a methanol formamide solution.
Homogenization, like blending it up.
Essentially, yes, at high speed. This occurs within the KF titration vessel itself. High-speed homogenization uses powerful mechanical forces to rupture the cellular structures of the feed, effectively releasing the bound water. The titration is then performed at an elevated temperature of 50 degrees C. The formamide in the solution plays a crucial role by helping to dissolve sugars and disperse proteins, ensuring that the water extraction is as complete and efficient as possible.
Okay. And method 2?
Method 2 is a faster boiling methanol approach. This alternative extraction procedure uses boiling methanol at a slightly higher temperature of 66 degrees C, but without the need for homogenization. This method is excellent for rapid extractions when speed is a factor.
Faster, but maybe less thorough?
Potentially, depending on the sample.
Yeah.
But in both methods, it's absolutely critical that the titration vessel is totally sealed and tight to prevent any atmospheric moisture contamination, which would inevitably bias the results too high.
Right, can't let outside water in. Are there any potential problems with KF?
While highly specific, it isn't entirely without potential issues. There are certain organic compounds, though rare in typical feeds, that could chemically react with the KF reagents or methanol to produce water, leading to erroneously high results.
Like what?
For example, some aldehydes or ketones could theoretically cause interference. This highlights why, as our sources warn, extreme care must be taken in a KF lab, including never using solvents like acetone to rinse glassware, as residues could react and bias results.
Good tip for lab techs.
Absolutely. Similarly, certain reactive metal oxides or some sulfur-containing compounds could potentially interfere. This isn't to diminish the method's accuracy, but to emphasize the rigorous control and validation required in a high-quality laboratory. If any such interferences are suspected, scientists can run water standards frequently to verify the system's accuracy.
So overall, how reliable is it?
The reliability of the Carl Fisher method is incredibly well established. It has undergone rigorous collaborative studies involving laboratories across different countries, including the US, Canada, and Germany, to ensure its accuracy and consistency.
International testing.
Yes. These studies systematically demonstrated acceptable levels of repeatability, meaning consistent results within a single laboratory, and reproducibility, meaning consistent results among different laboratories, for both water and dry matter measurements across a wide range of animal feeds, grains, and forages.
Even tricky ones.
Yes, including variable materials like silages, milk replacers, and even high-fat samples. This robust international validation led to its adoption as an official first action method, a testament to its trusted status in analytical chemistry.
So, for our listeners, why does understanding this precise method matter?
For you, the listener, understanding this highly precise method helps you appreciate why simply guessing at feed moisture content or relying on less accurate farm-level methods is insufficient in modern agriculture. Accurate dry matter measurement is the foundational basis for all proper ration formulation.
It's the starting point.
Absolutely. It's what allows farmers and nutritionists to make truly informed decisions, compare apples to apples, and as we've seen with the economic evaluation of hydroponic fodder, it's absolutely crucial for truly assessing the cost-effectiveness of any feed option on a real, nutrient-dense, dry matter basis. It's the difference between truly understanding what you're feeding your animals and just making an educated guess.
That's a fantastic insight into the precision required in feed analysis and why that dry matter number is so foundational. So armed with all this deep knowledge about different feed types, from the problematic rice straw to the promising corn cobs, and even the complicated realities of hydroponic fodder, and now understanding how to accurately measure their content, how do dairy farmers actually pull all of this together? How do they create that elusive ideal feed mix for their herd? It sounds like there's no single magic recipe, but rather a strategic art.
You've hit on a critical point precisely. There is definitely no one-size-fits-all solution for dairy nutrition, and it's far more art than science in its daily application, relying heavily on observation and responsiveness.
Art and science combined.
Exactly. The overarching goal isn't just to provide feed, it's to strategically tailor it to specific, ever-changing needs. The first and most important step in tailoring rations to specific needs is always to consider the precise requirements of the animals you're feeding.
Different cows need different things.
Dramatically different. Nutritional needs vary hugely depending on the cow's stage of life or production cycle. For example, a dry cow, which is in the late stages of pregnancy and not currently lactating, has vastly different needs compared to a high-producing Holstein in peak lactation, churning out 40 or 50 kilograms of milk a day, or even a growing replacement heifer.
Can't feed them all the same.
Definitely not. Each of these animal stages has distinct requirements for crude protein, total digestible nutrients, TDN, calcium, and phosphorus. Trying to feed a high-producing cow a dry cow ration would be disastrous, and vice versa.
Can you give an example using, say, rice straw?
Sure. Let's look at some specific examples from our sources regarding varying nutritional requirements and roughage inclusion. Our sources clearly indicate that while dry cows can often have rations that include as much as 50% rice straw.
Because their needs are lower.
Right, their energy demands are lower for maintenance and fetal growth. But superior milking cows with calves typically cannot use rice straw effectively at such high levels. Their performance will be significantly reduced, even if it makes up just 25% of their diet.
Because it just doesn't have the punch they need.
Exactly. Rice straw simply lacks the dense nutrition they require for milk synthesis. Average milking cows with calves should generally restrict rice straw to a maximum of 25% of their total ration. If they do use it, it must be thoroughly supplemented with high-quality hays like alfalfa or high-quality grass hay, or through specific liquid or block supplements rich in protein and energy.
So even a cheap feed isn't always economical if it doesn't fit the need.
Precisely. This illustrates that a seemingly abundant and cheap feed might be suitable for one physiological stage but detrimental and economically inefficient for another. This leads directly to the concept of strategic supplementation and blending.
And mixing and matching.
Exactly. To make feeds like rice straw viable and economically sensible, strategic blending with other feeds and targeted supplementation are absolutely key. For dry cows, as mentioned, a mix of 50% rice straw with some moderate quality grass hay or a suitable protein energy supplement can effectively meet their energy needs. But for cows in lactation with calves, the straw portion needs to be much lower, complemented by dairy-quality alfalfa, known for its high protein and calcium, or concentrated liquid block supplements designed for high-producing animals.
When choosing those supplements, what do farmers think about besides cost?
Great question. It's not just about the raw cost per ton. You need to consider palatability. For instance, molasses, beyond providing energy, can greatly enhance the smell and palatability of less desirable feeds like straw, encouraging greater intake.
Makes the cheap stuff taste better.
Basically, yes. You also need to think about the efficiency of non-protein nitrogen, NPN, sources like urea. While NPN can be a cheaper source of nitrogen for rumen microbes to convert into protein,
But it's not as good.
our sources indicate they may only be about 50% as efficient as natural protein in certain rations, especially for high-producing cows. The energy content of this supplement is also a major factor. Are you supplementing protein, energy, or both? And of course, the labor involved in acquiring, mixing, and feeding that supplement has to be part of the overall economic calculation for the farm.
Right, time is money too.
A cheap supplement that requires a lot of extra manual labor might not be truly cheap in the long run. It's vital to remember the immediate and long-term implications of poor formulation.
What happens if you get it wrong?
Our sources emphasize that feeding energy-deficient rations, even for a relatively short period, can cause rapid weight loss in cows, delay their rebreeding cycles, which impacts the farm's overall calf production, and significantly reduce milk production.
Domino effect.
Totally. Prolonged deficiencies can lead to severe metabolic health issues or even death, incurring significant veterinary costs and production losses. Similarly, phosphorus and trace mineral supplements are often critically needed, especially for high-producing cows, to prevent specific deficiencies like milk fever, bone weakness, or impaired immune function. Ignoring these micronutrients can undermine even the most balanced macronutrient diet.
So how do farmers manage all this complexity? Gut feel.
Well, experience counts, but the role of data and expert guidance cannot be overstated in modern dairy farming. The foundation of any truly good, cost-effective feed mix is accurate data.
Testing the feed.
Absolutely. Farmers are strongly encouraged to send feed samples, especially for variable feeds like rice straw, which can fluctuate wildly in quality to commercial laboratories for chemical analysis. You should specifically request analysis for crude protein, DP, acid detergent fiber, ADF, and moisture, DM.
The metrics we've been talking about.
Exactly. Crude protein tells you the protein content, ADF indicates the less digestible fiber components, and dry matter, as we discussed, gives you the true nutrient density. This analytical data provides the factual basis for rationing.
Then what? Plug it into a spreadsheet.
Once you have that precise data, specialized computer programs are by far the best method for determining complex ration formulations.
Software helps.
Immensely. These sophisticated programs can easily accommodate multiple feed ingredients, account for their specific nutritional contributions, and match them against the precise nutritional requirements of different animal groups, optimizing for cost and performance. While simpler tools like the Pearson square can help for balancing two ingredients for a single nutrient, they lack the comprehensive power of computer-based solutions required for a modern multi-ingredient total mixed ration.
So the computer spits out the perfect recipe.
Not quite perfect, because the ideal mix isn't static. It requires continuous evaluation.
Always tweaking.
Constantly. This means regularly assessing the total cost of the ration, and this must include not just the raw feed cost, but also transportation, storage, processing, like grinding or mixing, and distribution costs.
The total cost.
The total cost. This economic evaluation must be done alongside closely monitoring the animal's actual performance, milk yield, body condition score, and their overall health, incidence of metabolic diseases, fertility rates. This iterative process, combining scientific data with practical observation, allows farmers to constantly adapt and continually optimize their feeding strategies for both maximum efficiency and the highest possible animal well-being.
Data plus observation.
It's an ongoing, data-driven science that demands constant attention.
What a journey we've been on. From the microscopic, bustling world of rumen fermentation to the global economic realities of feed production and the intricate science of nutrition, we've truly seen how much science, data, and careful consideration goes into ensuring our dairy cows are well-fed and productive. It's far more intricate and demanding than simply throwing hay in a pasture.
Indeed. We've really pulled back the curtain on the complexities of feed options, highlighting the critical distinctions between sources like the abundant yet challenging rice straw, the promising and efficient ground corn cobs, and even the often misunderstood world of hydroponic fodder, with its appealing facade hiding significant economic and operational hurdles.
Yeah, that hydroponics section was eye-opening.
You now have a clearer understanding of why accurate dry matter measurement is absolutely foundational to any sound feeding strategy, and how strategic, tailored supplementation is crucial for meeting a cow's diverse needs across different life stages and production levels.
You're now better equipped to critically evaluate the claims you might hear about different feeds, to understand the true cost beyond the purchase price,
Yeah.
and to make more informed decisions about what truly goes into the dairy diet. No more guessing, just informed assessment and a deeper appreciation for the science on the farm.
Exactly. And if we connect all of this to the bigger picture, it raises an important question for the future.
Oh, what's that?
Given the inherent variability in feed quality from season to season or farm to farm, the vastly diverse needs of individual animals within a herd, and the often conflicting results found in feed research, how might cutting-edge data collection methods, perhaps leveraging wearable sensors on cows,
Like Fitbits for cows.
sort of, combined with advanced artificial intelligence and machine learning, how might these technologies further refine the concept of an ideal feed mix? Could we move towards truly personalized nutrition programs for individual animals, optimizing their diet in real time rather than just relying on herd-level recommendations?
Individualized diets.
Wow. It's a provocative thought for the future of dairy farming and animal nutrition. Something to chew on, perhaps.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for that deep dive.
My pleasure.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Got Milk, the Indian Dairy Context. Subscribe to the podcast. And a reminder, this episode was brought to you by Shunya Agritech, India's first animal nutrition and well-being focused organization. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.